taught you to hate the color of your skin? Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate, you should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
Most of us blacks, or Negroes as he called us, really thought we were free without being aware that in our subconscious, all those chains we thought had been struck off were still there. And there were many ways where what really motivated us was our desire to be loved by the white man. Malcolm meant to lance that sense of inferiority. He knew it would be painful. He knew that people could kill you because of it, but he dared to take that risk.
He was saying something over and above that of any other leader of that day, while the other leaders were begging for entry into the house of their oppressor. He was telling you to build your own house.
We always say in the Black Panther Party that they can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary. And you're going to have to keep on saying that. You're going to have to say that I am a proletarian. I am the people. I'm not the pig. You got to make a distinction. And the people are going to have to attack the pigs. The people are going to have to stand up against the pigs. That's what the Panthers are doing. That's what the Panthers are doing all over the world.
Fred.
Why do I have a lot of arrests? Because of harassment. Why is that harassment? Because the people that harass me have set up a problem that made me disagree with them violently, and they set up this problem in order to exploit me and other people like me. And why they want to get rid of me? Because I'm saying something that might wake up some other exploited people and some other oppressed people, and if all these people ever get together, then these pigs that are exploiting us, we'll be able to run them into the lake. That's why they want to get rid of us. And it's just, it's sort of like a primary thing with me. I'm the first move that they'll make. I'm a part of the organization. It will be the first organization they'll move on because I happen to be a part of the organization, the Black Panther Party. That is the only organization, in fact, that has came out and stood up loud and clear and said that we don't care what anybody says, whether they have guns or not and badges or 18 uniforms. If whenever they step outside the bounds of legality into the bounds of illegality, then we'll blow their brains out if they're bothering the people. And what makes them mad about that? They're constantly bothering the people. Anybody that's out there for the protection of the people happens to be in direct conflict with them. What makes them mad about it? What makes them mad about it is that they had black people and white poor people and red poor people and Puerto Rican poor people and Latin American Puerto Rican people of poor people of all descents. They had them caught up in movements based on racism when the Black Panther Party stood up and said that we don't care what anybody says. We don't think you fight fire with fire best. We think you fight fire with water best. We're going to fight racism, not with racism, but we're going to fight with solidarity. We said we're not going to fight capitalism with black capitalism, but we're going to fight it with socialism. We stood up and said we're not going to fight reactionary pigs and reactionary state's attorneys like this and reactionary state's attorneys like Hanrahan with any other reactions on our part. We're going to fight their reactions where all of us people are getting together and have an international proletarian revolution.
Right on.
Right on. All power to the people. And I just want to tell you that the chairman of the Black Panther Party is going to be ungagged and they're going to have to take those chains off him, but they're only going to have to do that if there's enough organization and if there's enough education and if enough people know about the chairman's plight. And that's our job. That's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to tell everybody in the world what's going on with Chairman Bobby. A lot of people reading the papers, every bus you get on, every building that you go into, they're talking about how cruel it is, the way they're treating Chairman Bobby Seale. And that's good, but what's not so good is that they don't understand that after Chairman Bobby Seale, it'll be me and you and everybody else. Because when they even get to the stage of fascism, they've gotten to a stage where they're going to do anything that they think is necessary to force people that don't want to dig on the shit that they're whooping on the people. They're going to force them to dig it. And they wouldn't even be doing this if it hadn't got to a stage like it is now. That thousands of people will come down to the Civic Center to denounce motherfuckers like Adolf Hitler, Hoffman, and Mussolini, Attorney Mitchell, and all these other fascists that's running our society. They wouldn't be down here now. And that's what we're down here for. Because we don't think that people that founded the Black Panther Party, the Liberation Party, the Vanguard Army for the revolutionary struggle on an international level, we don't think that's a person that's a criminal. As a matter of fact, we think that when Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton got together in 1966, they got together as peacemakers, not as peace breakers. They got together to deal with the peace breakers. Peace breakers like the pigs, people that come in our community, occupy our territory like it's a foreign territory, as they do all over the world.
We teach.
Woo-hoo. Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Sorry about that. Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Welcome to the Thursday night edition of the No PC Show. The year's winding down, and I had an unfortunate news to report, or the glory report, that my sister auntie, Lorraine Slugs, a.k.a. Lorraine Robinson, we slept in the same bed as children, passed today, and she has joined her sister Elaine, her other part, in a heavenly glory. So hopefully everyone can take the time out to say a little prayer for our clan, and we gonna move on with the show with her favorite saying, things understood need not be explained. I think that fits kind of with the show tonight. We're going to talk about, yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the death of Chairman Fred Hampton. And I think it was Jay-Z's birthday too, but we're talking about Chairman Fred. We used to do a series called the Icon series, and we're going to bring that back. Maybe once a month we'll do an Icon series. We're also going to change the start time to 8 o'clock because with me having the business and closing at 6:30, it's almost impossible to get home, walk the dog, do everything I need to do by 7:30. So starting in January, we're going to move this show back to 8 p.m. I know a lot of people are probably watching the football game or whatever they're doing tonight, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to move it back to 8 p.m. That'll give me a little more time to prepare. And as I mentioned, my store, this is RPC Computing, located in Chicago, Illinois, 773-966-4457. We're open 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 to 5, and Saturdays, 9 to 1 p.m. So we're there 60 hours a week for all your computing needs, consultations, and we also do print services. So if you need a document created, obituaries, resumes, legal document, come down, talk to us, or give us a call. You can always email us documentation@rpccomputing.net, at sbcglobal.net, and we can get that printed for you so when you show up. So we got all that out the way, and as I said, things understood need not be explained. We're going to thank my sister auntie Lorraine for that, because we're so close in age. They're like 7 years older than me, 6, 7 years older than me, 6.5 years older than me. But we grew up together, and we lived in the same house, ate the same food, hugged the same mamas. Fred Hampton was born the same year that my mother was born, like August 30th, 1948. And I think we just we see all these militants and things like this, and we think that maybe there was a bad upbringing that made people militant. And I always say, no, it's society. Society will make a black man a militant, whether he wants to be one or not. It will. So Fred Hampton was a good student in high school, graduated from high school, went to college, was getting into pre-law studies as a young man, was a good athlete, had 2 parents in the home. So what changes a person such as myself or Fred Hampton into a militant thought process? If you saw the video in the beginning, he talks about, there's a part that says, well, why do you have all these arrests? Because the system has decided that me as a black man in America is a problem. So a lot of these arrests may be frivolous arrests, which is basically harassment, which what's going on a lot with blacks in America from slavery on through the Jim Crow era. So you got this system set up where they say you're bad. They put the propaganda out there. You don't honor the flag. We don't care what you feel. This is the system that we set up. Hey, Trace. So the system was set up and put in place and said, nigga, apply yourself to the system. Any other thing outside of that, you will be punished. So there were situations, like I say, Jim Crow was hell for black people. You can't blame racism on black people in America. We did not start racism. We did not bring racism here. We did not discover racism here. Racism is basically a white problem that they've decided to make our problem. Sorry, that was my dog barking in the background. So they decided to make racism our problem with the Jim Crow laws, with the black laws, with the harassment of black people, with the lynching of black people. So you got all this going on in the eyes of this young man. I often like to say that Fred Hampton is the last assassinated civil rights leader of the 60s. So on December 4th, 1969, 4:30 in the morning, and if you want to read the full file, you can go to the FBI site and look it up. I wanted to pull it up over here, if I can search for it. On the site, the vault for the FBI, you can pull up pretty much all of the documents that have been declassified after so many years. They declassify certain files, and the files that have been declassified are the records for Fred Hampton. So you can get the full report of what they claimed happened and the situation and how they wound up paying $1.8 million to the family of Fred Hampton, the testimony of his then pregnant wife at the time, who was pregnant with his son, Fred Hampton Jr. The government was at war with black people. Never be confused and let other people tell you, hey, sis, have you confused about that the government was not at war with black people. You can go right out here to this FBI site, and you can see Hoover, the president, putting out a declaration for them to be on the lookout for any black person or group that seeks to motivate black people. They called it looking for a black messiah. So we get all these civil rights leaders killed in the 60s. The most prominent ones were like Medgar Evers, Mandela was in jail, Malcolm, Martin. Then 1966, you get the Black Panther Party, formed by Bobby Seals and Huey P. Newton. Also, Bobby Rush was a part of that. There's a fallacy that Angela Davis was part of the Black Panthers. She was never part of the Black Panthers. She was a teacher. Hey, cuz. She was a teacher out on in Oakland at the university, and her class had become so popular. Well, she had went overseas and she saw what was going on in America with the Black Panthers, and she felt like she wanted to be a part of that. So she came back and teamed up kind of with the Black Panthers. There's a big trial. She went on trial when you see her with the big power fist and all that. That's because she went on trial for helping, as they say, a group of people called the Soledad Brothers, where they tried a daring escape from a courtroom with pistols, and some people were killed, and the Soledad Brothers were killed, and the government says that those guns they used were registered to Angela Davis. And so all these stars came together to buck a system that people say, well, you got a fair trial. You got the jury of your peers. And often the jury of your peers is not really a jury of your peers. They just randomly picked. So you're not sure if they have the same background that you have. But the perception of America is, no, you're getting a fair trial. But in reality, as the Black Panthers and so many of us already knew, you're getting a trial in a system that was already established to oppress you. So how do you feel? Like I've made comments to people, some of my friends that work in the government, saying, well, you do want to go to trial. No, you don't want to go to trial. If you can avoid it at all costs, a lot of these courtrooms are crooked. A lot of the judges are on the take. Mays Jackson and we're talking about something this morning. I thought I wrote it down here. It was about leadership. That's what they were talking about, leadership. And they said, well, if you haven't ever led, I'm trying to see how they actually phrased it. You're not actually a leader if you haven't led some people somewhere, or some along those lines. So, I can agree to the point that a lot of our leaders have not led us anywhere. That's the flip side of it. Even if you are a leader and you led some people somewhere, it may not have been where we needed to go. They talked about compromise. Compromise to me is selling out in your best interest. When you're making a deal, that's in your best interest. But we compromise all the time just to get a little bit. You don't see white folks compromising. Name one incident where white people are compromised. They don't compromise. They might despise, but they ain't gonna compromise with you. So during the era of the Vietnam War, which officially started like in 1955, it kind of coincided at the same time as the Black Panther Party. So Malcolm's killed in 65. The Panthers started in 66. Martin is killed in 68. the Black Panther Party is still in existence. Chairman Fred comes into prominence. Leadership of the Black Panther is in jail. Bobby Seals is in jail on some type of conspiracy charge. Huey is in jail. I'm not sure if that was on the murder charge or a cop or something got killed. Some craziness happened, but it was always something. And the raid on Fred Hampton's home over on 2337 West Monroe in Chicago at 4:30 in the morning, there was a tip that there were guns in the place. But wasn't that one of the things that they believed in was black people being able to arm themselves? But you know, as soon as black people arm themselves, then the laws have to change. So they go in and they shoot up this house 99 times. 99 holes were identified going in. One hole was identified as going out. Mark Clark was another person that was in the home with Fred Hampton, his wife, his pregnant wife, and they just went in and shot up and killed and destroyed. And there's a picture. See, if you're on the YouTube, if you're on the Facebook side, you can't see what we're illustrating. But I'm gonna put it up here. So if you want to come over to the YouTube side, go to the No PC Show, all one word, and you will be able to see the illustrations that we're putting on the screen of Fred Hampton. And in some of these pictures, you will see the cops smiling as they carry his dead body out of the home. You will see diagrams, the layout of the apartment. They wanted to really mess up this whole thing, so even if it went to trial, they wouldn't be convicted because they didn't secure the place. They left it in a mess and everything, so people that started hearing about the murder of Fred Hampton showed up to the address, and Panthers were given a tour of the facilities, which just basically contaminates everything that's there. But if you got the backing of the president and everybody at that time, you don't really have to worry about it. He's dead at the age of 21. So you don't have to be, most of our civil rights leaders are what I call our real civil rights leaders, died young, died before they were 40. This young man died at the age of 21. And his message was slightly different than Malcolm and Martin. And he was more about the solidarity. He was like, power to the people. And when he said power to the people, he would say, power to the white people, power to the red people, power to the yellow people, power to the black people. Because he felt that the racial thing could not be matched with reverse racism, that wasn't a good battle to fight, but a solidarity of the people against the establishment, which was smart thinking. Get all the poor people to let everybody realize that we all being screwed over here, not just the black people. There were times, and I guess one of the things is that Huey P. Newton and Fred Hampton, they'll never, they were so fractured in the Black Panthers that often at different points in times, the leadership would be in prison because the Black Panthers had been infiltrated multiple times, and there were lots of informants that would find out things that were going on in the Black Panthers, and you can read that in the FBI report. And they would go back and report, they get somebody and he may have a case pending, and they say, well, if you go ahead and infiltrate to the Black Panthers, tell us what they're gonna do or what's going on, we'll cut you a deal. And unfortunately, a lot of things that were going on in the Black Panthers organization were exposed. So I guess that's where I get sometime when you have a group and you form a group and you want people to be a part of that group, you may change the dynamics. You have to put things in place on why you can be a part of this group or why you can't be a part of this group. I think Malcolm said it best. He said, whites can assist, but they can't join. Also, every brother's not a brother. What was the Black Panther Party and Fred Hampton and Huey and Bobby Rush and all these people all about? Just decency and righteousness for black people. That's all they wanted. They came up with a 10-point program, and you can look up the 10-point program online. But I just want to share a little bit of it, and you tell me if it's that bad. We want freedom. We want the power to determine the destiny of our black community. Ain't that what we still talking about now? Ain't we still trying to get the control to control the environment of our community? How can it be 55, 60 years later and we're still fighting to have economic control in our community? So when we talk about keeping the communities black and supporting black businesses, you only do that basically by keeping some of the other businesses out. If they're not supporting black causes or getting back to the community, then why are we supporting them? We want full employment for our people. A lot of black people just want to go to work. They just want to have an opportunity to go to work and be left alone. But as we know, they were often harassed. We want an end to the robbery by the white man of our black community. We want decent housing, fit for shelter of human beings. A lot of people that say migrated south, migrated north from the south, found themselves living in slumlord apartments owned by white men, Jewish men. Seldom was anything owned by a black man. And all they did was collect the rent. Is that so wrong? Unfortunately, that's still going on now, too. So as we go down this list, we'll see a lot of stuff that's still going on. We want education for our people that exposes the true nature of the descendants, the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches us our true history and our role in the present day society. Ain't that what we still trying to get? When the Black Panthers start doing things in the community, they had medical centers, ambulance service. They started the free breakfast program, the free lunch program, because they realized that there were people in the community that didn't have the resources. So they pulled all the resources together and made sure the kids ate. But because they taught them black nationalist slogans and things like that, your government said they're the biggest threat to America. We want an immediate end to the police brutality and murder of black people. Does this sound crazy? Sounds like the same things we're asking for. So when somebody tells you to compromise, there's no room for compromising if you're a black person in America. Compromise for what? You haven't given us anything. I was talking to one of my friends, and he loves the politics, and bless everybody that loves politics. Well, can't you believe in this person or this person? I don't believe in none of these politicians. I said, because the narrative they're getting is not something I want to hear. You can't destroy a people and then act like you're doing something for us by stringing us along. We know what we want as far as in the line of reparation, and we know everybody is BSing up there in Washington. We want freedom for all black men held in federal, state, county, and city prisons and jails. That was the one I thought they could expand on. Okay, a lot of people went to jail for bogus stuff, and then there was people that were actually supposed to be in jail. We want all black people, when brought to trial, to be tried in court by a jury of their peers, groups from their own communities. That's what I was just talking about. You get arrested, you go to jail, you got 6 white people or 7 white people, a couple of Hispanics, maybe 1 black, maybe 2 blacks, if you're lucky, and they call that a jury of your peers. But the whole court system is set up that even if there are people that are like you that show up there, they want to get rid of them. No, well, he's gonna identify with this person. No, we don't want that one. And they got so many people that they can just push to the side. So again, why go to court in the crooked system? It's like playing dice on a loaded crap table. We want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. They put all that as number 10. What we believe is another set of rules that they had. We believe that black people will not be free until we are able to determine our own destiny. That's the integration piece. We so damn anxious to integrate with these people. There's 2 things. There's separation and there's segregation. Segregation is forced on you by a superior group. It's kind of like a form of oppression. The white people say, you can live here, you can't live here, you can do this, but you can't do that. This system works for us, but it doesn't work for you. And this sounds fair to us. Chicago's still a segregated city. Separation is 2 equal groups deciding, well, I don't want to mess with you, I don't want to mess with you. That's what Malcolm was thinking. Toward the end, that's kind of what Martin was thinking. He was like, we want to work with y'all. We trying to work with y'all, but everything you say is a lie. You have economically deprived us to the point of we're dependent on you. We're dependent on your judgment. And a lot of people have that mindset right now that nothing seems to matter unless it is acknowledged by white folks. They love for us to entertain them. They say entertainment over culture. We care less about your culture. Get out that nigga, get that ball, kick that ball, jump up and down on the court, pile on top of each other. Side note, Kaepernick still doesn't have a job, but one of the young men who was a friend of Kaepernick, who was out there catching passes for Kaepernick, he got a job. Now, the job is only on a practice squad, but shit, he got a job. So what? We like the way he catches it, but we don't like the way you throw it? It's the whole propaganda. It's ridiculous to me. But everybody's watching the games and all that and having a great time. We believe that the federal government is responsible and obligated to give every man employment or a guaranteed income. We believe that if the white American businessmen will not give full employment, the means of production should be taken from the businessman and placed in the community so that the people of that community can organize and employ all of its people and give a higher standard of living. They wasn't asking for nothing insane. And so Fred Hampton, as a young man on a junior college campus, he felt the different things, and he saw what was going on with the Black Panther Party, and he wanted to be a part of that. So he saw what Bobby Seals was doing, and he saw what the movement was doing, and it was impressed upon him. Wow, maybe I can be a part of something and change something. I think a lot of times people get confused what this show is all about. This is not a show of entertainment. This is just a show of enlightenment, to spark something in your mindset that will make you think or make you get on your computer and search some of the stuff that we talk about, to enlighten yourself, because I believe we all have to be enlightened so we can come together as an enlightened people. We cannot afford to keep having these individual thoughts, and that's what keeps us apart. They have us separated by class, by religion, by economics. We have the people that believe, okay, just leave it on the Lord. You ain't supposed to be thinking of other stuff now. You know, put all that, look toward the mountains where my healing comes from. And that's fine. But as I say, either we're preaching to two different gods, or everybody else, God is really looking out for them and allowing them to behave in any type of way, and we're under a structured God that we can't behave anywhere near them. We can't keep believing, and even though Chairman Fred, he wanted to do that solidarity thing with the poor people movement, he actually was the one who had a rainbow coalition before Jesse Jackson with Breadbasket and his rainbow coalition. So he was a intelligent young man who was destroyed by the government. He was the last, as far as I'm concerned, he was the last civil rights leader killed of the 60s. They had an independent investigation that went on for a few months, and they determined that the death of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were justifiable homicides, because they claimed that they got in a shootout with the cops, and that was debunked. But to brush it all under the rug, as they do now still, we'll give you a little money, a little bit. We'll give you $1.8 million, but we got people getting $55 million because somebody made a tape of them, because somebody peeped through a peek hole. We're talking about the stuff that happens to us today. And we tried to explain this whole economic thing of how silly it is that there's only 44 million black people in America, and how easy it would be for your government to say, okay, well, 44 million people, we're going to give everybody some money. And no, we don't want to give you money, because we give you money, now we can't economically deprive you anymore. We can't convince you that these programs are good for you, and then we can't take them away to make you suffer a little bit, as Trump is doing with the food stamp program. But there's more white people on food stamps than black people. It's only 44 million black people in America, but there's 160 million people in America. So they should be suffering at a higher proportion. We just don't get it the way we should be getting it. And hopefully in the up and coming year, I try to stay positive as much as possible when it comes to the politics of this country. But I don't believe that the politics of this country is in the best interest of black people in this country. And I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. What I do care about is when your government has destroyed legacy and then you try to throw numbers and things in front of me now saying how great this is and what you're doing for us now. When Chairman Fred was killed December 4th, 1969, his wife was pregnant. Wife, girlfriend, whatever you want to call her. December 28th, 1969, a child was born. A black child was born without a father. When Medgar Evers was killed, when Malcolm was killed, when Martin was killed, children were left without fathers. When the Black Panther Party was eventually destroyed, you had all these wayward people. At the same time, the destruction of the Black Panther Party, Fred Hampton was good at working with the gangs and trying to bring some type of unity with the gangs and the Panther Party for a political army structure type of thing. So he had to go. He was doing the biggest crime that you can do in America. A black man unifying other black people. Unwritten rule. You can't do it. We're not going to accept it. We're not going to let you do it. Bottom line. But we get to martyr you. We get to look back now, 50 years later. I was 4 years old at the time when this happened. Trying to find my web page again. Sorry about that. And all you hear is, forget about that. Man, that's old stuff. Ain't nobody trying to live like that. They ain't gonna do nothing. Let's just do this. Let them off the hook. Let them keep coming in your community, doing what they want, building what they want, taking out of your community, forcing people out of the community. These niggas ain't doing nothing no way. All they doing is dope dealing, dope using, stealing, killing. Move all them niggas out. But we can't afford to have that attitude because them same people that you saying get rid of and move out that got kids, they're going to be right there with your kids. And your kids going to be hanging out with them. Most people are trying to escape a ghetto, period. What's up, Brandon? So you got people trying to escape a ghetto, but being oppressed by your government and being assassinated by your government. Those that weren't assassinated had to run, and they're in other countries. Ashada Shakur is still in Cuba. That happened with Cleavers and his wife, Kathleen Cleavers, and her husband. They ran away to Cuba for a while. We always talk about what it takes to motivate your people. And I always say, you got to love your people to help your people. See this book right here? Huey P. Newton, To Die for the People. I'm going to put it up here on this side too, so y'all can see it on the... I sit around and I read these type of books, and I try to get into the mindset of where they were at and compare it to where we're at now. And we shouldn't be fighting the same demons that they were fighting. If we're still fighting the same demons that they were fighting, that means somebody dropped the ball. And the ball has been dropped since that day, December 4th, 1969, when Chicago cops raided that house and killed 2 men and left a pregnant woman with a child. And don't tell me they weren't happy about it when the photo shows you seeing them smiling as they bring the body out and going across the airwave. We got that nigga. But you say, trust this system, believe in this system, pledge allegiance to this system. For what? For what? What have they done for you other than put you in a situation? Well, you can get an education if you pay us. Why are we paying for education in this country? Let's get some real reparations. Let's get some free education. Let's get some free training. Let's get some land. I just finally, after a year of trying to get my minority business license submitted, just was submitted last week. And wasn't a mistake that I was making by filling it out, because the Chamber of Commerce was filling it out. So how did they mess up my application 3 times? But the white people, they all got their certification through their wives on the first time. These are systems that appear to be fair, but they're not fair. So we got to have a timeout for all this. Oh, this isn't fair, blah, blah, blah. No, let's act like there's a line. And we're in front of the line. And they're telling people, come on around them, come on around them, come around them. Don't worry about that. Racism is real in this country. And sometimes people don't realize it until you experience it face to face. And you have to call one of these devils on it and address them to their face. But as all militants know, you will pay for your militancy. There's no militant that has not paid in some shape or fashion because they decide to speak up to the man in charge of the system that has put the propaganda out in the world that you are an evil black man. You can't be trusted. We got to demonize you. We got to discredit you. Then we got to destroy you. Now, a lot of people will see this show and they'll be like, no, this guy, I worked the system. It worked for me. I'm older now. My life's great. I took care of my kids. That's all that mattered to me. Take this scenario. We're all on that boat. And we're under that ship. And we're full of sickness and disease and rats. And we're cramped in, maybe 150, 175 people in a small space. People dying next to you. What did it mean to those people? Do you think that they could have talked to each other? Figured out that we're on the same team? That's the situation we're in now. We're stuck in a ship called America. And we're all getting treated the same on some different level of racist ignorance. Even when you had a black president, and we just don't have enough sense to come together and say, I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. That's all our leaders were trying to say. And I don't believe you don't have to lead nobody nowhere to be a leader. You can be a leader at your school, be a leader in your home, be a leader in your church. Lead people to the right mindset, the right thought process, and stop worrying about leading people to talk to these white folks about shit that's not gonna matter to them in the first place. Because they don't compromise with lies. They make deals that benefit them, benefit their children, benefit their legacy. And you sitting up there thinking, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, where they destroyed my people and attempted to destroy my character. Well, a nigga was all I could ever be. I pray the Lord that this nigga be free. Love, peace, soul. Y'all know the rest. We out of here.
Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right.
Step out of the car.
You do not have the right to do that.
I do have the right. Now step out or I will remove
I
you.
refuse to talk to you other than to identify myself.
Step
Now if you're woman, ain't no revolutionary should persuade you to be a fucking slave for the rest of your days. Should be grooming you on how to behave, teaching you how to coon and buck dance so that you can be safe. If that brother ain't no rider, soldier, no provider, molder of young minds, check it out. You got yourself a bitch. Think about the time that you invested in him. If he's wearing them skinny jeans, you a lesbian. For every 100 black women who ain't locked up, it's only 83 black men remaining. Take away 1.5 million black men who might have benefited their women and their children. You don't know a war when it's waged against you, when it makes you drive your baby mama to the clinic just to kill your own. Ain't no legacy to leave behind, cause ain't nobody sitting on your throne. You motherfuckers are asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't stop, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, you asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't fight, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, nigga. Sandra Bland was a rider. She wouldn't have committed suicide, and you a motherfucking liar. It would not be wise to stop when you hear sirens and you see the police behind you, but you don't wanna die. They gon' shoot you if you run. They gon' say that you was going for the police gun. That's why they shot you like 120 times, but you was still coming, so they put another bullet in your lung. Them devils got you praying while they murder, because they know you on that bullshit. They steady with them bull clips and body armor. They kill your women in the street, cause they figure you too weak to do anything about it. You some shit, getting fucked in your sleep. They poison you every time you brush your teeth. You don't care, you behave like a slave. A bitch from the cradle to the grave, on your knees with your hands out, begging cause you won't. You motherfuckers are asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't stop, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, you asleep in a war zone, living a nightmare, dying in your own home. If you don't fight, you gon' lose what you got left. I'd rather die trying to fight for my last breath. Freedom or death, nigga. Freedom or death, nigga. Fuck that. Freedom or death, nigga.
If you just listen,
Freedom or death, nigga. Freedom or death, nigga. Freedom or death, nigga.
you were getting a warning. Until now, you're going to jail.
I'm getting it for what?